In a world ruled by the ticking of clocks, imagine a place where time doesn't exist. No hours, no deadlines, just life, unmeasured, uninterrupted, and infinitely now. Tonight, we enter the forest of the timeless tribe and leave the modern world behind. You're listening to The Sleepy Planet, where we tell calm, mesmerizing stories from across our strange and beautiful Earth to help you fall asleep peacefully. If you enjoy these journeys, gently tap subscribe to join us for more slow, quiet discoveries. And before we begin, let us know in the comments. Where in the world are you listening from? What time is it for you right now? Now, take a deep breath, dim the lights, get cozy, and let your mind drift into a world beyond time. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees grow thick with age and mystery, there lies a world untouched by the clock. A world where the sun alone governs the rhythm of life, where people wake when the birds sing and rest when the darkness falls. This is the home of the Amandawa, a tribe that does not believe in time, not in the way you and I do. They do not count the hours or celebrate birthdays. They have no word for week, no term for month, no concept of a year. If you asked one of them how old they were, they would not understand the question. Life is not measured in numbers, but in seasons, in roles, in stories. A boy becomes a hunter, a woman becomes a mother, a father becomes a grandfather. These are the milestones, not dates, but transformations. To the Amandawa, time is not something that passes. It is something you move through, like a river. Sometimes you are in the current, sometimes on the bank. But you are never separate from it. You are part of it. They do not feel time slipping away. They do not speak of it running out, because it never began. This way of life is almost impossible to imagine for us, modern people who live by schedules, deadlines, and alarms. From the moment we wake, time is already chasing us. It lives in our phones, our calendars, our expectations. But here, in the shadowed canopy of the forest, there is only now, always now. The anthropologists who first visited the Amandawa in 1986 expected to find a people disconnected from the modern world. But what they found was something much stranger, a people disconnected from time itself. And yet, they were not lost. They knew the forest like it was family. They knew the rains, the stars, the animal paths. They were never early, never late. They simply arrived. They lived. They laughed. They aged, all without needing to know how long anything took. Instead of birthdays, they celebrated becoming. You were not 10 years old. You were no longer a child. You were now a speaker, now a dancer, now a teacher. And when someone died, they didn't say he was 72. They said he had walked far. There is wisdom in this, because in many ways, our obsession with time has made us tired. We are always chasing minutes, always regretting yesterday or fearing tomorrow. But when you live like the Amandawa, time cannot hurt you. It is not a threat. It is simply air, something you breathe in and out without thinking. What would it be like to let go of the clock? To wake not because of a buzzing alarm, but because the morning light gently tapped your eyelids? To eat when you're hungry, not when it's lunchtime. To rest not when the day is done, but when your body says it's ready. This episode, dear listener, is not just a story. It is a return to a simpler rhythm, a slower breath, a different kind of wisdom. As the rest of the world spins fast around you, let this story slow everything down. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. Picture the trees swaying softly overhead. You are walking a path that has no end and no beginning. You are simply moving through it, gently, quietly, without hurry. Tonight, we journey through a world that forgot the ticking of the clock and learned to live in peace. The forest breathes with a rhythm older than memory. The leaves rustle not by the command of a clock, but by the language of wind. In this place, the Amandawa live according to the seasons, not the seconds. They do not speak of time in numbers. Instead, they speak of when the rains return, or when the river rises, or when the trees give fruit. These are their markers, the shifting moods of the forest, the size of the earth. A child is born not at 6:42 a.m., but in the season of strong water, when the rains carve paths through the mud and the frogs sing their nightly songs. A celebration is not held on April 12th, but when the fish are fat and the moon is full. The Amandawa see time as a landscape, not a line, and like any landscape, it can be entered, explored, or left behind. When someone transitions into a new role in life, say, from child to adult, they receive a new name. They are no longer who they were. It's not just symbolic. It's a shift in identity. There is no fixed age when this happens. It depends on experience, on readiness, on the wisdom noticed in the eyes, the strength in the body, the silence in the voice. In this way, time becomes something internal, personal, a mirror rather than a ruler. It's a thought that might feel foreign to you. In your world, identity is bound to numbers. Age defines legality. Productivity defines value. But here, your name reflects who you are now, not who you were born to be. And when you change, your name changes with you. How different life might feel if your identity were not pinned to your past, but allowed to float with your present, to transform, to shed, to begin again, as often as needed. In the Amandawa tongue, there is no word for later, only for after this. And so, they never speak in abstractions about a future that might not come. They speak only of what follows, a walk, a meal, a gathering. The forest has taught them that only one moment is ever certain. This one. Let that thought cradle your mind for a while. Only this moment is real. Everything else, the deadlines, the dates, the pressure of the ticking clock, they are inventions, tools perhaps. But tools can become cages if we forget they are not part of nature. And so, the Amandawa build their days not around clocks, but around relationships, around storytelling, around movement and stillness, around listening to the wind and learning from the animals. A woman might spend the morning weaving a hammock from the fibers of a palm, not because it is 9 a.m., but because the sky has softened with morning light, and her hands feel ready. A man may fish not because the calendar says it's fishing season, but because the river is speaking in its glimmering language of silver currents. They live by instinct, by presence, by trust. There are no alarms, no schedules, no rushing. And in that silence, there is something rare. Peace. Peace not because everything is easy. Life in the rainforest is often hard. But peace because there is no war with time, no battle to win the day, just being, fully, gently. Now can you feel the quiet settling in your chest? Let it deepen. Let the idea take root. That time doesn't have to rule your life. That maybe, for tonight, you can let go of the chase. The Amandawa do not hoard their hours. They do not fear growing old, because they do not measure life by how long it lasts, but by how deeply it is lived. And now, as you rest, you are living deeply, too. So let your thoughts slow. Let the next moment unfold on its own. There is no hurry here, only softness, only breath. The sun climbs slowly over the canopy, filtering through leaves in gold and green. Light and shadow trade places on the forest floor. And as the morning unfolds, the village stirs, not all at once, not with alarms, but gradually, like the petals of a flower opening to the warmth of day. Some rise early, stretching quietly in hammocks strung between slender trees. Others remain in restful slumber, undisturbed by any urgency. There is no concept of too late or sleeping in. The forest sets no appointments. The day does not begin. It simply becomes. Children giggle in the underbrush, playing games without scores or rules. They mimic the birds, the insects, the elders. Their laughter rises like steam in the morning air. No one calls them inside to get ready. No one tells them they are wasting time. Because time, here, is not something to be wasted, only something to be experienced. Elders sit in quiet circles, whittling wood or telling stories passed down by voice alone. Their language dances, soft and rhythmic, painting images in sound. Each story contains a memory, a lesson, a shared truth, and it is not told quickly. It flows slowly, like a river in dry season. There is no rush to reach the ending. The joy is in the telling. This is the pulse of the Amendawa. There is no division between work and rest, between day and evening. If someone feels the urge to craft, they do. If they feel hunger, they eat. If they feel tired, they lie beneath the trees and sleep. They trust their bodies more than their calendars. Imagine for a moment that this rhythm was yours. No glances at the clock, no checking your schedule, just the soft unfolding of your day, guided by instinct and comfort and light. How much gentler life would feel. Even meal times here are fluid. There is no lunch break, no dinner hour. When food is ready, it is shared, often caught or gathered that day, prepared over flame or coals. The smell of roasted plantains and river fish fills the air, drawing people together in a kind of silent agreement. It is time, not because the clock says so, but because the moment does. And after food, there might be song, or silence, or a long, slow walk into the forest to check the traps, to gather fruit, to see what the world has made ready. Everything happens in its own time, not in isolation, but as part of a whole, the weather, the river, the stars above. It's tempting to think of this as a life without structure, but that is not quite true. There is structure, but it is the structure of nature, of change, of patience, of flow. You see, in our world, we often force productivity. We squeeze value out of minutes. But here, value rises naturally. It is not forced. It is felt. The Amendawa do not chase outcomes. They follow rhythms, and those rhythms lead them, always, to connection. Between people, between seasons, between themselves and the earth. This is a kind of wealth not stored in banks or written in ledgers. It is a wealth of attention, of time given freely, not counted. A father carving a toy for his child, a mother humming as she weaves, an elder repeating the names of stars. These are moments of time that matter, not because they are efficient, but because they are real. And still, the forest hums around them. Birds flit between branches. The river glows silver in places where light finds it. The day continues, unmeasured and whole. And you, lying there, eyes closed, mind softening, are now a part of this rhythm too. No beginning, no end. Just breathe. Just being. The Amendawa do not count years. They do not celebrate birthdays. Instead, they change names. Not for ceremony, but for accuracy. Because to them, you are not the same person you were last season, or the season before that. And if you have changed, then your name should too. When a child is born, they are given a simple name. It reflects what is observed, perhaps the first sound they made, or the shape of their cry, or the moment in the forest when they came into the world. This name is light, like new leaves on a branch. But names are never permanent. As the child grows, as their place in the community shifts, as they learn, as they love, as they carry, their name is shed like old skin. A boy who once ran barefoot and wild might take a new name when he begins to hunt. A girl who once climbed trees may change her name when she teaches another to climb. There is no shame in changing a name. It is not an act of forgetting. It is an act of truth. In this way, the Amondawa live in recognition of change. They do not deny it. They welcome it. Imagine what that would feel like, to be named not once, but many times, each one a chapter, a renewal, a soft rewriting of your identity. It is a language of becoming. Here, no one asks, "How old are you?" They ask, "Who are you now?" And in that question is something beautiful, a respect for presence, a release from the past, a freedom from counting years that weigh us down like stones. Think of how often we attach meaning to age. Too young, too old, too late, not yet. But the Amandawa ask a different question. They ask, "What are you ready for?" When a person takes on a new responsibility, to care for another, to teach, to heal, they take on a new name, a name that reflects what they give, not what they were born with. And this, too, is not forever. If a hunter can no longer hunt, they do not hide. They change. They take on a name that reflects wisdom instead of strength, a quieter name perhaps, but never less meaningful. In this way, everyone is allowed to evolve. The body does not betray them. The years do not steal from them. Each phase is honored. Each phase is named. There is something profoundly soft about that, because in our world, we often tie our worth to permanence, a job title, a degree, a milestone. We hold on, even when it no longer fits. But in the forest, the only thing to hold on to is the moment, and the moment always changes. That is why the Amandawa have no word for year. They speak instead of cycles, of rain and dryness, of planting and harvest, of birth and return. These are not deadlines, they are harmonies, and so their names move in harmony too. There are no official records, no written lists, only memory and voice and recognition. An elder might one day meet a young boy and say, "I remember you when you were Lightfoot, and now you are River Watcher." And the boy smiles, because that is true. No calendar is needed, only awareness, only attention. And in the glow of this village, beneath trees that have watched generations rise and fall, you realize something simple. You are not the number of your years. You are the shape of your story. And stories, like rivers, shift their course over time. Let this thought carry you further now. Let the soft edges of your mind begin to blur. You are not what you were. You are not what you will be. You are simply here, listening, drifting, becoming, and the night stretches deeper around you. There is a river that winds through the land of the Amandawa. It does not hurry. It does not stop. It simply moves, quietly, endlessly, without ever needing to know the time. The tribe gathers near its banks in the early light, and again at dusk, not because a clock says to, but because the birds have quieted, the breeze has softened, and the river, in its slow certainty, reminds them that everything finds its way eventually. To understand this tribe is to understand their river. They watch it, listen to it, follow it, not to control it, but to learn from it. It teaches in silence. There are no alarms here, no agendas, only the hush of water against stone, the drift of leaves, the shift of clouds mirrored on the surface. They say the river speaks without voice, and if you sit long enough, it will tell you everything. The young learn early that movement does not always mean progress. They sit by the shore, sometimes for hours, learning to notice what most people miss. A fish surfacing once, a ripple too wide to be wind, the way roots dip their fingers into the current, holding the earth gently. Stillness is not empty here. It is full of meaning. When the river floods, no one calls it disaster. It is simply the season's way of reshaping the path. When it dries, no one panics. It is the sun's time to remind them of thirst and patience. There is no shame in pausing, no pressure to continue when the current rests. In the world you know, stillness is often seen as laziness. Pauses are filled with noise, phones, screens, reminders to keep going, always going. But here, stillness is an art, a way of listening to life. The elders say the river has moods. Some days it dances, light skipping across its surface. Other days it broods, deep and shadowed, as if remembering something ancient. Children learn to read its temperament, not with tools or measurements, but with presence, by simply being with it. There are no exact times for fishing, only signs, the way the dragonflies gather, or how the mist hangs low across the bend. And when a person grows anxious, they are told gently, go to the river. Not to be fixed, but to be reminded, because the river doesn't ask questions. It doesn't demand solutions. It only flows. Sometimes swift, sometimes slow, but always moving, always whole. Let this river run through you now. Close your eyes, if you haven't already. Imagine its gentle sound, water brushing against rocks, the soft splash of something unseen beneath the surface. Let it carry away the noise of your day. Let it soften the edges of your thoughts. There is nothing you need to do, no schedule to meet, no goal to reach, only the river and the stillness it gives you, without asking anything in return. And just like that, you are no longer keeping time. You are part of the flow, and the night continues, calm and quiet. When a child is born among the Amandawa, they are not marked by a number, but by the world around them. No date is written. No certificate is signed. Instead, the moment becomes part of the living memory, the season, the sky, the feeling of the air, the sounds of the forest. They will say, this child was born when the frogs sang loudest, when the river swelled beyond its usual banks, when the clouds broke open each night without warning. Birth is not an event here. It is a story. The mother is not rushed. There are no fluorescent lights, no machines, no monitors, only the rhythm of breath, the murmur of voices, and the soft strength of the earth beneath her. Women give birth in the company of other women, grandmothers, sisters, daughters. Their hands do not rush. They wait, watch, whisper gently. They hold the moment with quiet reverence, and when the child arrives, they are greeted not with applause but with stillness, a silence so full, it feels like the whole forest is listening. The name they are given is not final. It is a beginning, a word that captures not the future, but the present. Perhaps the child is named for the storm that passed at dawn, or the bird that flew low across the canopy, or the way their cry echoed across the water. This name is not chosen from a list. it is felt. Because here, names are not about identity, they are about connection. A baby born in the season of rain carries that rain within them. It becomes part of who they are, how they listen, how they move, how they respond to the world. As they grow, they will learn that their story began with water, with thunder, with a sky that gave everything all at once, and they will not fear storms. The elders say that each child carries the mood of their birth. Those born in the dry season tend to be thoughtful, watchful. Those born in the season of wind move quickly, think fast. And those born in the rains, they are deep. They feel things others miss. They speak rarely, but when they do, it is with weight. It is not superstition. It is memory, passed down through pattern and observation. The forest teaches them that nothing arrives without leaving an echo. And so birth is more than life. It is the beginning of a relationship with the weather, with the tribe, with the land itself. No hospitals, no records, only stories shared around fires, only truths felt in the way a child listens to the wind. Tonight, as you listen, perhaps you feel your own beginning shift. Not your birth date, but the feeling of who you were when you came into the world. What season was in your heart? What moment held you first? Let yourself return there for just a while. Let the sound of imagined rain fall gently over you. Let the story of a quiet village in the Amazon remind you that you, too, were once named by the sky. And now, in the hush of night, you can simply be. No age, no number, only presence, only breath, only the soft, unfolding dark. They say there was once a boy in the Amandawa village who hardly spoke, but always listened. Not to voices, but to trees. He would wander into the forest alone, long before the sun rose, and return after dusk with dirt on his hands and silence in his mouth. Others called him strange, but the elders only smiled. He listens deeper than most, they would say. He hears what time forgets. This boy, they say his name came from the trees too. Not from the season he was born, but from the echo of wind through old branches the night he took his first breath. The trees, in Amandawa life, are more than wood and leaves. They are watchers, carriers of memory. They do not measure time in seconds or hours. They count in rings, in seasons, in sunrises. And the boy understood this, without needing to be taught. He would sit for hours at the base of a giant samauma, its roots rising like great ribs from the forest floor. He would press his ear to the bark, not expecting words, but waiting for something slower, a kind of truth that only trees could offer. And they did speak, in their way. In the creak of limbs stretching, in the rustle of high leaves shifting in wind, in the sudden stillness before a storm. He learned that not all knowledge is fast, that some truths need decades to form, that wisdom often comes wrapped in patience. The boy once told an elder, "The tree said it was happy today." The elder nodded. "And how do you know?" The boy smiled. "It stopped groaning when I sat near." It sighed, like it was resting. From then on, the village stopped calling him strange. They began asking what the trees were saying, when to plant, when to rest, when the dry days were truly over. And the boy would answer softly, slowly, as if translating something sacred. He grew older, and one day he left, not out of anger, but to follow the forest deeper. It is said he lives still, somewhere among the far trees, in a house made of branches that bend but never break. They say he walks barefoot over roots, knowing exactly where not to step. that the jaguars do not fear him, nor the birds flee his presence, because he does not carry time like a burden. He walks with it like a friend. And sometimes, when the night is quiet enough, the villagers say they can hear the trees sigh, soft and warm like remembering. Let this story drift into your thoughts. There is no need to understand it fully. Only feel it, like the way a tree feels rain on its leaves. Let yourself lean against the bark of that great samauma now. Feel its age. Feel how it has no hurry. Let your breath match its rhythm, slow, grounded, present. There are no schedules here, no deadlines in this forest, only stories growing like moss in the quiet places of your mind. Let them grow freely. Let them guide you to stillness. Among the Amandawa, no one rushes. There are no clocks, no alarms, no appointments set in stone. And most curiously, there is no word in their language for late. Not because they never delay, but because delay has no weight. In the forest, time is not a master. It is a companion. When someone says they will meet you at the river, they don't mean at 7 sharp. They mean when the light looks a certain way, when the air feels ready, when the herons gather near the bend. If they arrive an hour later, you do not wonder. You listen to the water. You notice the way the leaves shift under cloud cover. You breathe. This absence of urgency does something strange to the body. It softens the jaw, unknots the shoulders, unhooks the constant counting that so many carry from morning to night. In the Amandawa world, you are never behind. You are simply here. One elder, when asked about being late, laughed gently. How can I be late to a moment that hasn't happened yet? There is a wisdom in that. Not laziness, but a different way of belonging, a trust in the natural flow of things. The sun does not rush its rise. The rain does not apologize when it lingers. The trees do not fret over the pace of their growth. And neither do the people. Even celebrations happen slowly, when it feels right. The full moon comes. Perhaps there is a gathering, perhaps not. Children run in from the forest laughing, not worrying about bedtime. The old men sit in circles, telling stories that stretch like vines, never trimmed, never hurried to their end. And somehow, everything still happens, without planners, without stress, without the ticking metronome we've come to know. They are not unaware of time. They simply do not let it command them. It's not that their lives are simpler. There is hardship. There is hunger sometimes, storms that arrive without warning. But even then, they meet these moments with presence, not panic. Because when you do not measure life in lost minutes, you stop fearing slowness. Imagine that now, a life without the fear of being late, a breath that isn't chasing the next one. Tonight, let that idea unravel in you. What if nothing is waiting? What if this is the perfect time, simply because it is the time you are in? No missed chances, no slipping hours, only this breath, this stillness, this quiet planet turning slowly beneath the stars. Let the pressure fall away. Let yourself arrive fully, at last, right where you are. You are not late. You never were. In most of the world, seasons arrive by number. Spring begins on the 20th of March. Summer on June 21st. Autumn, September 22nd. And winter, cold and clinical, comes on December 21st. Precise, predictable, written on calendars, stamped in weather apps, counted by digits. But in the heart of the forest, where the Amandawa people live, there are no calendars, no clocks, no seasons with names printed on pages. Instead, Their seasons are felt, not declared, but noticed, not measured, but experienced. They do not speak of spring or fall. They speak of the time when the fish begin to move, the days when blossoms open in secret, the weeks when frogs forget to sing at night. These are the seasons they know, and these are enough. The dry time does not begin on a date. It begins when the leaves crunch beneath bare feet, when the air smells dusty but not yet tired, when shadows grow longer but the days still carry warmth in their breath. The wet time arrives slowly, like a guest who doesn't knock, just drifts in, carrying the scent of dark soil and the hush before thunder. It begins when the wind feels thick, when your skin remembers water before it falls. No one says, "It is July now." They say, "The river is singing softer today," or "The sky tastes like rain." Children are the first to notice. They are closest to the earth. They run to elders, eyes wide, and say, "It's the time when the birds fly lower," and the elders nod, because they already knew, not because they were told, but because they too had felt it. You see, the Amandawa do not demand time to declare itself. They wait, they observe, and when the change comes, they welcome it, quietly, without ceremony, without control. To the modern world, this may seem vague, uncertain, but it is anything but. Their timekeeping is not primitive. It is intimate. They track the rise and fall of seasons by the way bark smells after rain, by the angle of birds in the morning, by the color of sleep in their dreams. We have apps and alerts. They have instinct and memory. Who then is truly more precise? So now, as you lie still, let go of numbered seasons. Let the idea drift out of you like smoke from a quiet fire. There is no spring here, no summer. Only this time. This gentle turning of the world beneath your quiet breath. Can you feel your own season changing? Not with the calendar, but with the rhythm of your body, the silence behind your eyes, the softness of the air around you. Let it be enough. You don't need a number to know the moment is here. You are not in a rush to anywhere. You are not behind. You are simply arriving. Now, let yourself drift with it, like a leaf caught in a kind current. Let the seasons move inside you, without name, without end, only feeling, only now. There is a word in the Amandawa language that does not translate easily. It means something close to now, but not the kind of now we use when we're late to a meeting or watching a ticking clock. Their word for now doesn't sit on a timeline. It's not squeezed between before and after. It isn't hurried. It isn't waiting to disappear. It is everything. A full moment. A wide, breathing present that stretches like the sky and holds no beginning or end. When an Amandawa elder says this word, they mean the breeze on your face. Right now. The heartbeat in your chest, the warmth of the earth beneath your feet, they mean this. They live inside that word. In modern life, we chase moments, try to capture them in photos, save them in cloud storage, and count them with likes and timers. But what if a moment is not something to capture, but to simply enter, just step in and be? For the Amandawa, that's what time is. It's not a thing to manage. It's a space to inhabit. It's the rustle of trees as you pass, the hum of the river after dusk, the way your mother smiles when she sees you waking up from a nap. And so, when they say now, they mean everything that is happening in the body, in the forest, in the quiet. It is not fleeting. It is not pressured. It is not watched by a second hand. It just is. There's a gentleness to that, a softness we often forget. We speak of wasting time as if it's a resource to be used, as if the clock is our judge. But the Amandawa, they never waste a moment because they never leave it. Each breath is a ceremony, each glance a thread in the day's quiet tapestry. They do not plan weeks ahead. They plan when the moon calls them, when the birds gather, when the trees lean just so in the wind. Tonight, as your thoughts slow, try stepping into that kind of now, not the now that buzzes with urgency. The other kind, the one that waits for you without impatience, the one that doesn't move unless you do. Feel it settle over your skin like a warm blanket, like a familiar lullaby. You don't need to think of tomorrow. You don't need to rewind the day. Just be in this moment, this wordless, timeless, soft unfolding. This is the kind of now that asks nothing of you. No action, no worry, only presence. Breathe into it. Linger in it. Let it stretch. Because this moment, right here, may be the most generous one you've known. Not because of what it gives, but because of how little it asks in return. You are here, and here is enough. In the quiet corner of the village, where the light falls soft through leaves, an old man sits beneath a tree. His eyes are clouded, but his voice is strong. He is a keeper of stories. And for the Amandawa, that makes him something sacred. They do not count years. They count stories. When asked how old a child is, they may say, "She was born the year the river swallowed the southern path," or "He came just before the moon turned red for many nights." The old man, grandfather to some, uncle to many, ancestor in training, does not mark time with numbers. He marks it with moments that matter. A snake crossing the path on a day of joy, the fire that danced too high in the wind, the silence that came after the thunder, but before the rain. These are not just memories. They are markers, pillars in the great, invisible architecture of Amandawa time. Tonight, as fireflies blink like gentle stars, the old man begins again. He does not rush. His story takes as long as it must. There are no interruptions. No one looks at a watch. Time bends to his voice. The children listen first, then the mothers, then even the hunters lean in. The story is familiar, but never the same, because he changes the way he tells it, depending on the wind, on the faces in front of him, on the way the fire moves. He begins. It was the time when the trees sang at night, and everyone knows where they are in time, not because it's a date, but because it's a memory that belongs to all of them. This is how the Amandawa preserve time, not by numbers, but by stories woven through generations, told under moonlight, shared without urgency. The grandfather does not need a calendar. He carries decades in his breath. His pauses are long, not from forgetfulness, but respect. He waits for the story to arrive. before he continues, and when he finally finishes, there is no applause, no judgment, only silence, soft and respectful. That silence is part of the time too, part of the rhythm. You see, for them, story and time are the same thing. And so, their elders are not just old, they are long. Long with memory, long with patience, long with the weight of lives they've helped shape. Tonight, as you drift, imagine that old man is speaking just to you. Imagine his voice, low and slow, wrapping around your thoughts like a woven blanket. Let each word be a stone on the riverbed, not rushing, but resting. Let his story guide you not forward or back, but deeper. Deeper into a time that isn't ticking, it's telling. Breathe slowly now. Feel the night settle over you. Feel the quiet between words. And listen, not for the end of the story, but for the place where your own begins. There was once a child in the village, barefoot, wide-eyed, and always chasing things others couldn't see. She had a habit. Each morning, just before the dew lifted from the leaves, she would climb the slope behind her family's hut and sit with her knees hugged to her chest. Then she would start counting. But not numbers. Not in the way you or I might count. She counted the wind. 1 breeze was a whisper. 2 was a laugh. 3, a question. And on some days, when the sky was restless and silver, she would close her eyes, smile wide, and say, "Today, the wind is full of memories." The elders would shake their heads, chuckling at the strangeness of children. But deep down, they knew she was listening to something true. Because in the Amandawa world, even the wind has a story. It carries voices, not just sounds. It bends trees, yes, but it also bends time. 1 gust might remind you of your mother's laughter. Another might carry the scent of a lost season. A still breeze might whisper of things yet to come. And so this child, with her eyes closed and her arms wrapped around her knees, was not being silly. She was learning to feel time with her skin. She didn't ask, "What hour is it?" Instead, she asked, "What is the wind telling us today?" That's how they live. The Amandawa. They read the forest like a book with no cover. They read the air like verses from a sacred page. This child grew up without ever wearing a watch. She marked days by the sound of frogs in the river, the slant of sunlight through palm leaves, the rhythm of raindrops on the roof. And in time, she became the kind of person others went to when they felt lost. Because she could sense when the wind was heavy with change, when silence meant something deeper, when a certain hush meant it was time to stay close to home. Tonight, as you lie there, let yourself count the wind too. You don't need to measure it in miles per hour. Just feel it. Is your room still? Or does the air drift slowly across your skin? Is there a faint sound outside? Leaves brushing against one another? A hush that only the night brings? Breathe in. That's the wind reminding you. You are part of this rhythm, too. You don't need to plan tomorrow. You don't need to rewrite today. Just sit beside that child for a moment. Feel what she feels. Count like she counts. 1 breeze for peace. 2 for softness. 3 for sleep. And now, drift quietly. You don't need to hold on to the wind. Just let it pass through you. And when you wake again, you'll know. Time didn't move. You did. In most parts of the world, festivals are planned on calendars, marked with circles, prepared for weeks in advance. But in the world of the Amandawa, there is a festival with no date. It does not arrive on the first moon or the last harvest. It arrives when it is needed. Some years it comes twice. Other years, not at all. They call it the returning. Not for people, but for balance. You see, the Amandawa live in a delicate rhythm, not just with nature, but with each other. And sometimes that rhythm shifts. Someone feels forgotten. A hunter grows proud. A child sulks longer than usual. The forest feels quieter. When the village elder senses this change, they do not scold or warn or lecture. They gather the people and whisper, "It's time." No one asks, "Time for what?" They already know. Soon, the village begins to stir. Not with haste, not with frantic preparation, but with soft, shared movement, like wind through tall grass. Mothers begin weaving ornaments. Fathers gather wood. Children paint their arms with river clay. No one says, "We do this every year," because they don't. They do it when the air feels uneven, when the laughter doesn't echo right, when the nights feel too long. The festival is a recalibration, a way to remind the entire tribe who they are, where they belong, and how beautiful it is to belong at all. There is music, but it is slow, deep, repetitive like a heartbeat. There is dancing, but not for performance. It is for remembering. They tell stories beside fires. They sing old songs that no longer have words, only tones. And by the time the fire fades, the silence afterward feels full. like something has returned. Not a god, not a spirit, just a feeling. Balance. Now, lie still for a moment. Close your eyes. Imagine you are there, sitting under the trees, surrounded by soft laughter, by warmth. Not loud at all. A breeze moves through your hair. A child touches your arm with paint. An elder smiles at you, like you've always been part of their world. And in that moment, you feel it, too. You didn't know you were out of balance until something shifted back into place. This is why they never set a date. Because harmony can't be scheduled. It must be felt, listened for. So tonight, maybe your own balance is returning. Not in a rush, but gently, quietly, as you breathe slower and deeper. Let the soft hum of this moment be your own festival. No date, no plan, just peace, arriving when it's ready. In our world, names are anchors, given at birth, stamped on documents, carved in stone. They stay, they stick, they follow us whether we change or not. But for the Amandawa, names breathe. They don't belong to the body. They belong to the moment. A child is not given a name to last forever. She may be called Little River while she runs through the forest. Later, when she learns to climb trees like a monkey, they may call her Sky Follower. And when she grows older, quiet, wise, and listens more than she speaks, she might be called Soft Branch or Echo of Rain. Names are not static. They shift like clouds across the sun, because people change, and the Amandawa believe a name should move with you. Sometimes your name may be shed like old skin, not with sadness, but with celebration. You are no longer who you were. That is not loss. It is growth. So they gather, and they speak your new name aloud, not like a badge, but like a blessing. It means, we see who you are now. There are no last names, no family trees with fixed roots, no lineages drawn in ink, only stories. And the stories change as you do. Tonight, imagine what your name might be, if it reflected your spirit right now. Not yesterday, not the name others know you by, but the feeling that sits quietly in your chest. Are you late rain in autumn? Wanderer between thoughts, still flame. Say it silently. Let it settle. This is your name for the night, only for you, only for now. And when you wake, it may be gone, or it may stay a while longer. But like the Amandawa, you'll know you are not fixed. You are not trapped in oneself. You are becoming, and every breath is a chance to be named again. So breathe. Let go of who you had to be today and drift into who you are in this quiet, sleeping moment. No pressure to remember, only to rest. There are no ticking hands, no alarm bells, no glowing screens that shout the hour. In the forest, there is only rhythm. The trees do not wake at 7 a.m. The birds do not ask for Monday or Friday. The river doesn't care if it is late. Time here is not something to be measured. It is something to be felt. And that is how the Amandawa live. They rise not with a buzzer, but with the soft stirrings of light through the leaves. When shadows grow long, they begin to gather. When the frogs sing low, they know it's time to sleep. They eat when they're hungry. They rest when they're tired. They move when their bodies ask them to, not when a schedule demands it. You might ask, how do they know when to meet, when to plant, when to prepare? And the answer is, they listen to the land, to each other, to silence. They don't need clocks because they have trust. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine waking not to a beep, but to bird song, not rushing to a calendar, but pausing by the window, watching how the light dances. Imagine meals shared, when everyone feels the same pull in their belly. Imagine rest that begins when your soul asks for it, not when a number says so. The forest teaches this. Time flows like water, not in rectangles, but in waves. You can swim with it or let it carry you. Now, as you lie here, there is no rush. You're not behind. You're not early. You are exactly where you need to be. There is no clock in this room. Only your breath. Only the softness around your body. Only the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat, which has always known how to keep perfect time. So let the ticking world fall away. Let the digital numbers fade. Close your eyes. You are in the forest now. No deadlines, no urgency. Only rhythm. Only peace. Let it wash over you. This moment doesn't need to be measured. It only needs to be felt. And you are feeling it perfectly. Long before books, long before ink on parchment, there was the fire. It was not just for warmth, not just for cooking. For the Amandawa, the fire was a voice. At night, they gathered around it, not because they had to, but because something in their bones pulled them there. The flames didn't speak words, but they danced with meaning, crackling softly, popping gently, sending little sparks to the stars. It became the heartbeat of their stories. The elder would sit closest, not taller, not louder, just older. And when the silence settled in, they would begin. But they didn't read from pages. There were no scripts, no rehearsals, only memory, only feeling. Their voice moved slow, like the flickering firelight. They told of the jaguar who fell in love with the moon, of the river that once flowed backward because it missed its source, of a child who walked into the forest and came back with a song no one had ever heard before. Each story had a rhythm, not just in the words, but in the pauses. Long silences where the fire spoke instead. A crackle here, a gust of wind there. It wasn't about how fast the tale was told. It was about how deeply it was felt. Now, as you listen here, imagine that fire before you, its warm orange glow dancing across the faces of a quiet tribe. No phones, no notifications, only the timeless hush of night and the shared breath of story. Maybe the flame you hear now isn't wood burning. Maybe it's your own breath, your own warmth kindling the stories inside you. Because even in silence, we carry stories. In our scars, in our smiles, in the way we remember things that never quite happened the same way twice. Tonight, you don't need to remember every word. You don't need to hold on tightly. Just listen. Let the story drift over you like smoke curling into the sky. The fire still speaks, even if it's just a soft hum in the darkness of your room. And maybe, just maybe, you are part of the story now too. There is a path through the forest, but it has no signs, no arrows, no names etched into bark. Still, the Amandawa follow it, not because they've memorized a map, but because their feet remember what their eyes do not. It's not straight. It bends, loops, disappears for a while, then returns again, as if the forest is playing. They do not walk with haste. There is no finish line, only motion, and that to them is enough. They believe that walking is a kind of prayer. Each footfall says, "I'm here." Each breath whispers, "I belong." There is no need to know what lies ahead. In fact, to ask where the path leads is to miss the wonder of simply being on it. They do not chase a destination. They walk because the forest invites them to. Sometimes they stop and touch the leaves. Sometimes they laugh because a butterfly lands right on someone's nose. Sometimes they say nothing at all. And in those moments, when there is no plan, only presence, they feel most alive. Imagine if you lived like that. Imagine waking up not to conquer your to-do list, but to wander through your own life with curiosity. Imagine letting go of next and embracing now. You may not live in a forest, but you walk paths every day. Hallways, sidewalks, memories. What if tonight you didn't rush? What if you let your mind drift like the Amandawa along a winding trail that leads nowhere in particular, and everywhere all at once? No GPS, no pressure. Only you, and the quiet invitation to just walk. So slow your breath. Relax your hands. Let your legs feel weightless beneath the blanket. You're on the path now. It needs no direction, only trust. Keep walking, even if you fall asleep. The journey continues. Long before the Amandawa understood the sky, A child looked up and whispered names. Into the dark. Not names from books, not names carved by astronomers, just names born from wonder. That one, the child said, pointing to a bright flicker near the horizon, is the eye of the night deer. And another, a tiny blue shimmer far above. That's the feather that floats alone. The elders smiled, not because the names were silly, but because they were sacred. The stars were not just lights, they were stories. They were memories, waiting to be spoken aloud. In Amandawa life, a child naming the stars was not play, it was ceremony. Because they believed that when you name something, you give it meaning. And when you give it meaning, you make it part of your world. The tribe didn't keep charts or telescopes, but they had a sky full of relationships. That cluster above the mountain, that was grandmother's bracelet. And the small red one that only appears in winter, that was the hunter's lantern. To others, the sky was cold and distant. To them, it was familiar, a ceiling of stories, stitched together by love. Even now, they say that when someone dies, they become a star. Not metaphorically. Truly, they shine, and they guide. No grief, no endings. Just a new point of light to talk to at night. So tonight, as you lie there, look up. Even if your ceiling is blank or the curtains are closed, your mind can still see the stars, and you, like that child, can give them names. Maybe the one near your window is called Hope That Waited, and the one over your pillow, Stillness After Storm. They're yours now. Let them glow. Just for you, because in the world of the Amandawa, naming the stars is how we remember that we're not alone. Close your eyes. They're still watching, still waiting, still whispering stories in the language of light. There is a time each year when the river near the Amandawa village slows down, not because of drought, not because of blockage, but because, they say, it simply forgets how to rush. It meanders, softly, as if pausing to listen, to the wind, to the birds, to itself. The water moves like syrup, thick and reflective, mirroring the trees and the sky and the small canoes that drift without paddles. During this time, no one hurries. Even the children play quieter. Even the birds sing slower songs. The Amandawa believe this is when the river dreams, and in its dreams, it shares wisdom. Sit by its edge, they say, and you'll hear your own heart speaking back to you. So they do. They gather in silence, feet in the mud, hands resting on their knees, and eyes half closed. No chanting, no asking, no expectation, just presence. And the river speaks, not in words, but in rhythm. Drip, glide, pause, ripple. It teaches them patience. It reminds them that movement doesn't always mean speed, that progress can be soft, can be still. You don't need to surge to arrive. Tonight, as your thoughts quiet down, let your mind become like that river. Let it forget to rush. Let it drift through memories, through dreams, through imagined landscapes. No need to solve anything. No need to push forward. The current will carry you, even if you close your eyes. Let your breath slow. Let your body become heavy and warm. You are beside the dreaming river now. Its waters are still. Its silence is deep. And in that stillness, you are safe. No rush. No rush at all. There is a story told only once a year, when the moon is lowest and the air smells of earth and rain. The elders gather the children, wrap them in soft cloth, and sit beneath the canopy, where fireflies float like drifting stars. They speak slowly, softly, so the story settles into the chest instead of just the ears. They say that long ago, before the first name was spoken, before the sky even knew it was blue, the forest slept. It did not sway. It did not breathe. It simply existed. Until one night, it dreamed. Not of beasts or winds or thunder. It dreamed of someone who would walk gently, who would listen more than speak, who would understand that life was not something to conquer, but something to honor. And in that dream, a figure appeared. Not a god, not a king, just a child, barefoot and curious. The child touched a tree, and the leaves remembered how to rustle. They sang. The child sat on the earth, and the soil remembered how to grow. It bloomed. And the child looked up, naming nothing, wanting nothing, only watching. And the forest awoke, not with noise, but with breath. A long, deep breath that filled the world with stillness and knowing. They say that every time someone sleeps with a soft heart and a quiet mind, the forest dreams again. And when you dream, you become that child. You bring peace to wild things. You remind the earth to rest. You teach the sky how to be gentle. So tonight, as your body melts into the bed and your thoughts drift like fog, know this: you are not just falling asleep. You are returning to something ancient, something sacred. You are walking softly into a forest of dreams, where time does not chase and the leaves remember your name. The world is quiet now. The river has stopped. The stars are watching. And you are home. Good night, dreamer of the forest. Sleep well. Sleep deep. Sleep slow.